Hi, and welcome to Compassion's Morning Meditation. I am Carolyn Brazil, and I believe that as Christians, there are things in life that are guarantees. Number one, everyone living will one day die. Number two, change is inevitable. And number three, we all must suffer. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I went through a lot, mentally, physically, and emotionally. There were some parts during my pregnancy that were painful. There were some parts during my pregnancy that I was sick. But what I remember most of all was during the third trimester, how much I suffered. I was swollen. There were times when there were times in the pregnancy where I couldn't get comfortable because what was inside of me was growing. I had to change my eating habits to prevent from anything affecting the baby. And the list goes on. But I say all of that to say this. In the end, I gave birth to a beautiful, exceptional gift of God. So no matter what I had to endure, what I went through was all worth it in the end. If I had to give a subject to what I'm about to talk about, I would call it your suffering for purpose. Your suffering, has perfect purpose. 2 Corinthians 4:8-10 reads, "We are pressed on every side, but troubles. We are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we are not destroyed." Through suffering, our bodies continue to share in the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be seen in our bodies. Will you just type in the chat for me, "My suffering has purpose"? Now, I know some of you are at home and you've gone through a lot. You've been through a lot of suffering, and some of you been through things and you did not know how you were going to get out. Depression, anxiety, children with emotional and behavioral issues, divorce, a loss of a loved one, and the list goes on. And some of you might be looking at this and you say, "I don't go through anything. I just see sunshines and rose petals." Well, you just keep on listening. But for the rest of us, I'm here to tell you this. Your suffering has purpose. To suffer means to endure or feel pain or distress, to be or seem to be at a disadvantage. Jesus suffered. He was betrayed, beaten, bruised, nailed to the cross. Yes, Jesus suffered. So why do we suffer? We suffer so that someone will be delivered through us. We suffer so that someone would come to Jesus. When we suffer, we gain compassion for others going through the things that we've already went through. And God reveals that He is more than enough to get us through any trial that we face. Through our suffering, we gain patience and we increase our faith in God. We suffer to help someone else be overcomers. Overcomers of what? Suicide, depression, oppression, unforgiveness, loneliness, anger, sexual sin, and sickness. Your suffering has purpose. And guess what? Suffering is a part of the Christian experience. In order to know God and the power of his might, we must experience suffering. So the next time you find yourself going through the valley of suffering, instead of praying to get over it, pray and ask God to give you endurance to go through it. Instead of saying, why me? Say, Lord, help me to understand that this suffering is birthing purpose in and through me. And lastly, say, Lord, help me to deal with suffering in a way that draws others to you and brings glory to your name. Thank you for tuning into Compassion's Morning Meditation. Join us here at 7 a.m. Be